As China and the European Union mark 50 years of diplomatic relations, CGTN has been talking exclusively to Cai Run, the head of the Chinese mission to the EU. He's been telling our correspondent Li Jianhua about the importance of the shared commitment to multilateralism and global cooperation.
This year marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and the EU, an important year in the development of China-EU relations. Over the past 50 years, this relationship has traveled an extraordinary journey and maintained a steady growth momentum.
新年伊始，习近平主席同欧洲理事会主席科斯塔通了电话。
Early this year, President Xi Jinping had a phone conversation with President Antonio Costa of the European Council. They had in-depth discussions and reached important consensus on future China-EU ties, providing strategic guidance and charting the course for the relationship. The past 50 years has witnessed more practical cooperation. When China and the EU established the diplomatic ties, their trade volume was only $2.4 billion, and bilateral investment was nearly zero. As of 2024, according to Chinese statistics, the trade volume has reached $784.8 billion, and the two-way investment in stock has hit $260 billion. The past 50 years has witnessed the deepening of friendship between the Chinese and European people. As China continues to grow, more and more Chinese citizens have come to Europe to experience its beautiful landscapes and rich cultures. Meanwhile, the fascination with China and the Chinese cultures continue to grow and captivate audiences over time. Our consensus and cooperation far outweigh differences and competition. We are partners, not rivals, and certainly not enemies.
So you have talked about deeper political engagement, trade ties and people-to-people exchanges. I think one of the most impressive achievements is the trade ties between the two sides. From $2.4 billion to about $785 billion in the space of 50 years. Trade has always been the cornerstone of bilateral relations, but tensions persist, especially concerning Chinese-made EVs, trade imbalances and market access. So what do you think should be done to resolve tensions?
Our cooperation is vast in scale and broad in scope. It's inevitable that differences and frictions may arise. China opposes politicizing economic and trade issues and overstretching the concept of security, and rejects protectionism. In conversations with my Chinese and European friends, I often heard one view that makes perfect sense to me: to turn the points of friction and differences between China and EU into points of cooperation and growth in our relationship. There's promising potential in clean energy technology, new energy, and combating climate change. Another key area of cooperation in the future is artificial intelligence. We also share common interests and needs in upholding multilateralism, preserving the WTO-centered multilateral trading system, and opposing unilateralism and protectionism. In general, Chinese enterprises highly value the EU market. According to available data, China's direct investment stock in Europe exceeds $120 billion, accounting for 33% of its investment in developed economies. However, they also have concerns, mainly in two areas. First, they hope the EU can provide a fair, just, and non-discriminatory business environment, free from political interference. Second, they seek greater certainty, both in terms of policies and regulatory predictability.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called for constructive engagement with China, and in a phone call with China's Premier Li Qiang in early April, she also called on China and the EU to provide stability and predictability to global economy. And you also said, I'm quoting you, that the EU and China are partners, not rivals or opponents. So in light of the current geopolitical tensions, what do you think a true partnership is like?
这个当今世界正处于
The world is undergoing profound changes unseen in a century. In a world full of changes and turbulence, China-EU relations carry more strategic significance and global impact. It is important to further strengthen high-level exchanges. The 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties presents an opportunity to enhance such high-level exchanges. It is important to deepen practical cooperation. After over 50 years of exchanges and cooperation, including in economy and trade, China and the EU have formed an economic relationship that is closely intertwined and highly symbiotic. China is now advancing high-quality development and Chinese modernization, while the EU is striving to enhance competitiveness. These efforts create fresh opportunities for collaboration. China has granted unilateral visa-free access to 24 EU members to facilitate people-to-people exchanges. It is important to enhance coordination on major international and regional issues. China is also ready to strengthen communication with the EU on international hotspot issues to promote the political settlement process and safeguard regional and world peace and stability.
维护地区和世界的和平与稳定。